Dance. 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 You can see that look in my eye. Ain't gonna stop anytime soon. Roll up while I cry.
Here we go again. I mean, this is the truth show, and there's more. And there's more. I'm not done yet. I mean, this is the truth show. Please note that this is all alleged. I've never met any of these people. I've deeply researched all of my information. This is a trigger warning. In this video, I may be talking about or showing sensitive material about some subjects or topics that may be disturbing or upsetting or may bring forth some troubling memories, as you read in the description or title. With that said, either end the video now or brace yourself. Aside from that, enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Truth Show. This is a different show. I'm not going to be talking about politics. I'm not going to be talking about all the other stuff that I want to, but I'm not. Sorry about that. How you doing, Alicia? How you doing? Yes, I am at home on this Friday around 11. Yes, I'm home. Make sure you guys share. Okay, now with this particular show, I'm still on this new age phase, and I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I'm not really talking about it per se. I'm just getting a better understanding of it while still relating to this current phase and comparing it to the cult leaders and how it compares to the cult leaders. Because I think once you guys get a deeper understanding, you know deeply about it. Okay. Because there aren't many books. People are just now writing books about this new age. And the Bible ends at the age of Pisces. And it talks about the transition age of Pisces. There's going to be stars falling from the sky. And we know those are rockets, bombs, and things of that nature that we're currently seeing in war. So that's what that was talking about. And my regulars, yes, Indra, how you doing? And Alicia, how you doing as well? Okay. With that said, let's get on with the intro. We're moving out of the age of Pisces and an era defined by confusion, illusion, spiritual longing, and the search for a savior. And when you have an entire age built on vulnerability, it needs to be talked about. I mean, let's be realistic here. I mean, the whole age of Pisces was built on vulnerability and belief. And you create the perfect conditions for certain types of people to rise. So people wonder why the cult leaders from the last age that I thought was part of the last age astrologies, they weren't. They were all part of this age. And I was thinking, oh my dear. And it's so mind-boggling because when I looked up their astrology signs, from Charles Manson to Jim Jones to you name it, you go back, they're all part of this age, which is this age is the fixable cross, which is and I keep saying this, which is Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio. Those are the signs that the fixed cross is going to be really affected by this age. I thought that the cult leaders from the last age was actually a part of the last age of Pisces, which was a mutable cross, which was Pisces, and opposite of Pisces is Virgo. And then we have Gemini and Sagittarius. Those are the signs that was highly affected by the last age that the Bible was written in, that the Bible ends in. The Bible ends in with God supposedly said, or Jesus supposedly said this, Yeshua supposedly said this, remain to be seen. Said, look to the man with the bucket. But women are known to wear and carry buckets. So just know the Bible was put together by men with political and dominant agendas. So they kind of wiped out all female workers or anything of the nature out of the Bible. So just to let you know, the scripture originally said, look at the woman carrying the bucket. And we know what sign carries the bucket, which is the Aquarius. The Aquarius symbol is a female carrying the bucket. But it has been redesigned to put a man there. But, the original design was a female carrying the bucket. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying. With that being said, during this transition, we are literally in a religious war. We are in a struggle for male dominancy to remain seniority over a lot of things, from politics, from what we say about our bodies, and so on and so forth. We're going to see that more than likely for the next 5 years. Right now, they feel like their foundation is crumbling. So any male victory that comes about, they're celebrating. Yes, the Olympics, the male team won. I mean, that's literally what they're doing. They're like, the male team won. Never even followed the Olympics, but as long as the male team won, great. Yes, James Tallarico won over, even though numbers shows that they rigged the election, won over Jasmine Crockett. That's bullshit, but we'll talk about that another time. We're not talking about politics. But the fact that a male won, and the fact that this man has such shady past behavior, James Tallarico, and he's so heavily religious, which co-aligns with you might as well say, a dim Republican, which is why they were so happy for him to win, which means he's more prone to switch. So we're not talking about politics at this current moment, but just want to give you guys an illusion of what the illusion is. Okay? That's currently where we're at the moment. They're trying to hold on to a foundation, but the foundation is crumbling from the outside in. While they're desperately trying to play these games and stuff, everything is crumbling. And that is what happens during every transition. Every transition to a new age, reality kicks in. Foundations crumble. Truth becomes open. People become exposed. And the old, who are desperately trying to hold on to power, will do whatever they need to do by any means necessary to hold on to it. But just like every transition, it's going to happen whether they want it or not. Whether you are voluntarily doing it with democratic and cordial and civil and legal ways, or, okay, we just rip it out of you, then it's going to happen whether they want it or not. But that's not the point. So then we have these cult leaders that were in the Pisces age that desperately wanted to have some kind of power within the age because they were probably confused, but they went about it with a different strategy. Okay. They went about it with a different strategy. All, if not 98% of the cult leaders from back in the Pisces age, they were not even amongst the Pisces age. They were among the Aquarius age, believe it or not. And they used the vulnerabilities of that age to come up. Not because they belonged to the Pisces era, but because they were the opposite of it. The age of Pisces was mutable. These leaders were fixed. They were from the fixed age of right now, which is, like I said, Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus and Scorpio. And that's the connection. They use a futuristics mind to take advantage of the Pisces age, who are always looking at some illusion, always looking for blind belief, blind faith, what was not there. Pisces age was filled with make-believe, not reality, make-believe. Okay? So with that said, are you guys still with me? This may be kind of confusing for a lot of you, but stay with me here. Can you guys still hear me? Make sure we are sharing. I'm doing fine, Indra. I just saw this. I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Okay, now, if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to ask any questions. If you Want me to dive deeper into something else? If you're saying, okay, this is boring, let me know in the comment section. I love transparency. Okay. Now, this is definitely for my MAGA people who are desperately trying to hold on to their Lord and Savior. Yes. Yes, I did see the photo of them praying over Donald Trump. They did that for I don't know how many damn times. You know, them praying to God would probably be a really good thing. I'm just going to be real with you because he would be the perfect person to pray to. He likes this war, bloodshed, sacrifice, and submissiveness and stuff like that. You know, he probably will be the perfect person to pray to. In the Bible, that's literally what he represents. Okay, but getting back to what I was saying, this is desperately for my MAGA people. If anyone else should be listening and watching this video, it should definitely be you guys because you guys got some serious cult-like behavior and y'all should be the main knuckleheads. No offense, but y'all act like knuckleheads to be listening to this live show. I'm going to go ahead and put that crap on out there. Okay, now, what the Age of Pisces created. Okay, the Age of Pisces created, because I talked about the Aquarius age inside out, overdone. I done talked about it so much. I should have a PhD, a bachelor's degree, and I should have seriously the highest degree you could possibly get on the fucking Aquarius age. So let's talk about the Pisces age, because a lot of people don't know about the Pisces age. Are you guys interested in hearing about it? Let me know in the comment section. I should have a master's degree in the Aquarius age, seriously. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Age of Pisces. Okay, the Age of Pisces was predominantly shaped between the years of 0 and 2000 CE. Okay, so around like 2010 or so, that's when the walls started breaking a little bit. No, not 2010. I'm sorry, 2020. That's around COVID. The walls started breaking, and that's when the Aquarius age really started peaking. But I think it happened long before then, to be honest. I'm saying around 2010, but we'll just say 2020 because that's when a lot of people start notating changes. And that is definitely when a lot of things start transpiring and foundations start to crumble. Okay, so the Age of Pisces, it was shaped by dissolving boundaries. You can see here it was shaped by dissolving boundaries, which means there was no boundaries when it comes to manipulation. There was no boundaries when it comes to faith, but it wasn't based on reality. It was just based on what you feel. You know, not reality. It was based on what you feel. It was about imaginative. It was about imagination. It was about feeling. It was about blind faith. That's what the Pisces age was. Emotional vulnerability. The Pisces age definitely took advantage of emotional vulnerability. That was the key factors of a lot of pastors. They came up on emotional vulnerability. I can't speak emotional vulnerability, and they also came up on guilt and hope. A lot of pastors use that in their key elements to keep their followers. Spiritual hunger, because of the ages of servitude and submissiveness, and hoping that something better will come along, because we had to deal with civil rights, we had to deal with slavery, we had to deal with all these crazy catastrophic events that happened within the last 2000 and some odd years. So people were looking for something better that apparently wasn't on this plane. So they went from religious, they went from space, and then it wasn't in a kind of chronological order, but this is what they did. They tried different elements that went on earth to feed people's minds, whether it was spirituality, whether it was aliens, or some belief that you're entering the city of gold and you get the riches after you die. They gave all these people these false hopes, but they made sure it wasn't on this plane or reality because they wanted to remain the full control of servitude from their followers. And then we have confusion between truth and illusion. It was always confusion between the truth and illusion, but because people were so loyal to the word and to this life that they were promised, the lines got blurred from between truth and illusion, I meant to say. Longing for guidance. Everyone was looking for guidance. Everyone was looking for someone to help them, someone to give them guidance, someone who was just like the Jesus and the God that they were taught ever since they were young. They were looking for that familiarity. They were looking for something that said, okay, this is what I was promised. This is what I was taught since I was a child. Who can give me this now? Who can guide me to salvation? I'm tired of being hungry. I'm tired of being whipped. I'm tired of, everyone was always tired of something. Spiritually and soulfully, they were tired of something. So everyone's looking for a guidance, okay? Remember those key factors that I'm talking about right now. Belief over logic. They always believed the what if, but they never saw the logic and the reality of what they believed in. They never even looked to even read it. They just sit there with their Bibles and whatever scripture the pastor tells them to look at, they look at it. They don't look beyond the scriptures. They don't study the scriptures. They don't get the definite intel on reading the actual scriptures that surround the scriptures. They just read what their pastors or bishops told them to read. They accept it. Even though most of the word did not say that, but they just accepted it. That was the serious problem when it came to Christians. Savior seeking, as I just stated. Everyone was looking for a savior. Everyone was looking for someone to save them. Like now, if we're going in war and everything is going down, don't think that pastors and bishops, female and men, are not going to use this particular time to feed on your hope and need for safety, because everything is going to shit at the current moment. Homelessness is up, job market is down, prices is up, inflation is up. So pastors and people who offer this false belief are definitely going to come up. They're going to come up big time, because they're going to feed on the fact, look to God, he will save you. Look to Jesus, he will save you. Look to whatever, he will save you. He didn't save me before I did this shit. Why the fuck am I doing it now? But people don't look for logic. They just look for savior seeking. They're looking for someone to save them, instead of them seeing them in themselves, that they can save themselves. You can manifest what you want. You just got to believe in it. Okay. So just to sum it up, people were looking for certainty, identity, direction, and belonging to something, belonging to a higher plane that they were currently living in at the moment. Okay. And someone who knew the truth. All of these different elements they were looking at during the Pisces age. Of course, most people now are seeking within themselves, but they still have this need to belong, especially the ones who goes back to what's familiar. So even though they saw the light, they know the truth, but they still go back to familiar, because you have people online saying this and this and this. And so they going back to the church thinking the church is going to save them. No, the more you pray to God, the more empowered this man will be, because God is just like him. So that is not going to help you. You can call me an atheist, you can call me a fool, but truth is the truth. Okay? Well, people are going to do this because that's what was drilled into their minds since they were kids, to always go back to church, to always bend your knees, bow your head, close your hands, and close your eyes, and pray to the unknown. Hope that he'll save you. He has no history of saving you, but just hope that he'll save you. He will not save you. He'll probably protect Trump, probably more so than he'll protect you. At least that's what the Bible is, basically a whole description of his entire character and his actions. It's going to be real here. He loves violence. He don't like women. He don't like black people, apparently. And he don't like children. Let's see here. He loves just catastrophic submissiveness. He don't like anyone seeking the truth, anyone speaking their voice or speaking anything of the magnitude that will open eyes of his followers. He don't like that at all. At all. Sounds familiar? Yeah. So sure, go ahead. Go ahead, pray to the man who don't like you, who gave a history of not liking you. And Jesus, apparently words that they wrote long before he was gone, we got to believe that he actually said. But, go ahead and do that. So that is pretty much the illusion of the Pisces age. That was what was taught in people's minds. But then you have the future thinkers like them cult leaders who observed all this and they used it to their advantage. So these were the dominated fixed signs. So they were the dominated fixed signs of this new age, but took advantage of the Pisces age because of everything I just said the Pisces was bringing forth. So let's look a little deep here. When you look at the chart of the most infamous cult leaders of the 20th century, such as Jim Jones, okay, Charles Manson, Marshall Applewhite, and David Koresh. You look at these four people, And this is just a small fraction of the cult leaders leading all the way back to the Stone Ages practically, okay? Who took advantage of these needings that I just described in the last slide, who garnered a huge following because of people needing a savior. All of these people are part of the New Age. These signs share 4 traits that become extremely powerful or extremely dangerous in that age. During a mutable age like Pisces, what did they have? Certainty. They gave you certainty this was going to happen. They gave you charisma. They gave you an unshaken conviction. They gave you a magnetic presence, kind of like what they described Jesus as. They didn't bend. They didn't waver. They didn't dissolve. They became a solid ground people cling to because they didn't have a solid ground. Their ground was always constantly shaking, giving them seasickness and motion sickness or whatever. They needed some valid or feasible foundation. So this is what they offered. People cling to it because those elements were described as God in the Bible because God offered that in such conviction and cruelty and meanness and selfishness. So they mirrored what people were taught to believe there was righteousness, which is the God in the Bible. That's all they did, okay? All these people were part of this age. All these cult leaders used their behaviorisms for manipulation for followers in the age of Pisces. Kind of like what Trump doing right now. But his is on a whole different ballgame, okay? So you ask, why fixed energy dominate a mutable? Sorry about that. Let me go back. Why fixed energy dominate a mutable age? Well, Taurus is the builder, as I said. Taurus is the architect. Taurus is the cook. Taurus is the earth. Taurus is pretty much the foundation, okay? And then we have Leos, who are the leaders. They are the speakers. They are part of Aquarius, so they're humanitarians and they're intelligent. And then you have Scorpio, who has the depth, who has the character, who has the ability to adapt to any environment, who has the ability to transform into anything they feel is desirable enough or acceptable enough. Most Scorpios are very good actors and actresses. And if they're a Scorpio and a Gemini, they are literally insane actor and actresses, okay? And then we have the visionary. Aquarius offering a visionary for future conviction. A lot of Aquariuses speak and talk way behind their means. Most of my videos I did 5 years ago are just now coming to fruition, and people are just now realizing it was true. And I talked about them videos, in those videos I meant to say, and those truths almost 5 years ago. And people are just now discovering what I said was true, and I talked about it years ago. So Aquarius offering a vision. Aquarius offers a different insight. Aquarius offer some kind of emotional stability because Aquarius have ability to disconnect their feelings and see things from a logic and factual perspective. Remember those convictions and those characteristics of those signs because they're definitely going to be a very good point what I'm trying to make here. So let's break down how each fixed sign archetype plays into this whole cult leader, okay? I'm going to break it down one by one. As I said, Taurus is the builder. They were the grounded, steady material, comforting people they make people feel safe around Taurus energy. In a confusing era, Taurus became their rock, like I said. Okay, so if you have a Taurus friend, it would definitely be the most nurturing friend you can possibly be. Okay, Leo, the leader. They offer identity, a purpose, charisma, and a spotlight. Leo energy says, follow me. We can do this. We are the leaders. We are this. They offer this in that age. In the dissolving age, Leo became the chosen ones. Okay, and then we have Scorpios, the depth, the intensity, the sacredcy, the transformation, devotion. Scorpio energy creates loyalty and obsession. In a vulnerable age, Scorpio became the prophet because, again, they were able to transform into anything they want. The prophet, the seeker, whatever you want, they can do it because Scorpio have the ability to transform. And if they're Scorpio and a Gemini, they are seriously, yeah, crazy. Like I'm a Aquarius, Leo, and Gemini, and I believe my Venus sign or Vortrix sign, what the fuck that is. I don't really get into all this stuff. Is a Scorpio. I have a lot of Scorpios in my chart, and a lot of Aquariuses, Pisces. Pointed out, posted sometime later. Anyway, it's not about me. So Scorpio offers that, and then you have Aquarius, who is a visionary, future thinking, pattern seeing, revolutionary. Aquarius energy sees what others don't. In a lost age, Aquarius became a truth teller. This is why Oprah Winfrey came up, because Oprah offered a different insight. Oprah off a different pattern. Oprah off some hope, broke down myths, and had subjects that no one talked about. She was always future thinking, and a lot of things she said, which a lot of her shows are still being and played in rotation and coming back. Like, damn, Oprah talked about this, because she was always a forward thinker. That's why she came up. That's why people use her name as if she was an omen or a god, like a paraphrase or ending to some kind of point. Like, oh, I think I saw it on Oprah. Oprah said, do this. Like, she was a prophet. That's why she offered that in that age. This is why she was so famous and successful, and still successful. And actually going to be even more successful now. But of course, with the heightened energy of this cosmic age, people are going to see her even more of a prophet, but they also going to try to rip her down, especially the ones who are still in the old, I can't see a female in this whole prophet or successful range, especially if she's black. We got to bring her down. We got to tear her down, because that's what, history tells them. So she's going to get a lot of haters too. Okay, so these energies were ahead of their time, but also perfectly positioned to manipulate people who were still living in the emotion and fog of Pisces, still living in the illusion that there's something better. I don't see it on this plane now, but it's something out there better. That's what the Pisces age offered. Now let's talk about the leaders themselves, not their crimes, not the violence, but the astrological, I can't even speak, I'm sorry. That's their astrological, the astrological pattern, excuse me, behind their influence. Because that would give you a good insight on how they were able to influence many people within the age of Pisces. You see, these individuals knew what to do to manipulate people, despite them being a part of the new age. So they knew what to do. Everything I just said should have been a clear factor on how they were able to manipulate so many people in the age of Pisces. I know a lot of you are saying, why are you bringing this up now, Keisha? Because we are currently living in the age of cults. Cults are going to start forming everywhere. We already have a cult that's playing out in front of our eyes, in front of millions to see, which is the MAGA cult, because they are obsessed with Trump. You don't know why they're obsessed with Trump. Trump is a rising Leo. So he offers the leadership. He offered the spotlight. He offered the voice. He offers something they more than likely are lacking in themselves, so they see him as a prophet. That's what they see in Trump. And he still have a little bit residence of the last age, which is he's also a Sagittarius and a Gemini. Gemini has the ability to adapt to any environment, any place. It doesn't even matter. Gemini definitely has that adaptability. Okay. They're very artistic, and they're able to switch from one mode to the next. That's what I'm saying. If you see someone who's a Gemini and a fucking Scorpio, they probably are very good actors and actresses. Okay. So you can see Trump jump in and out of character in any one of his fucking speeches. He also said Sagittarius, so he's very, charismatic. He's a people pleaser. He loves future thinking people. He'll talk about future thinking people, even though he don't act what he preaches. Okay. Sagittarius are with the arrows because they're never satisfied. They're always on the hunt for something, some kind of satisfaction, some solid ground that they seem to never find. They couldn't find in the Pisces age, but they probably find in this age. So they're not faithful, most Sagittariuses. So that's what Trump offered for these people. This is why they're drawn to him. Does he know he's the head of a cult? Probably not. But he knows that he has really loyal followers, and anyone who's stepping out of that lane, he would throw them to the wolves with no questions asked. You don't give a fuck about them. Okay, you're not among my following list. I don't care. Go away. He don't care about them. Because at the end of the day, he only cares about himself. You have a man who's Sagittarius, Gemini, and a Leo. Those are one of the most narcissistic signs in the fucking zodiac. Trust me, he doesn't care about anyone but himself. And that is a proven astrological and, I don't know, verified PhD, master's degree, bachelor's degree, whatever fucking degree, verified by many psychologists and therapists that his niece, who's certified. That's what Trump is. He has the elements of a con man, but also the elements to be a cult leader without knowing he's a cult leader. He has the elements of a psycho, because I looked at his astrology. He actually do have Scorpios in his astrology chart. So he could transform into anything. He has the elements of someone who is not to be trusted. And I'm not saying that because I don't like him. I'm saying it because those are facts. Okay? And then again, you can be a part of those astrological signs, but you can still have raised with some morality and some integrity and to think before you act. So it could be the way you were raised too. You know what I'm saying? You can have those signs and still be a decent person. Okay. So we're going to start with Jim Jones here. Jim Jones, who wore glasses because he didn't want people to see how high he was. Jim Jones. Let's go to Jim Jones here. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Okay, Jim Jones. Make sure I'm on the right slide here. Okay, yeah. Okay, we're going to start with Jim Jones. Jim Jones was a Taurus sun, Aries moon, and Capricorn risings. Taurus, remember I told you Taurus offer the ground, the foundation, the nurturing spirit, the motherly spirit, some kind of emotional attachment, yada, yada, dot, 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 dot. Aries offer the resilient, the fight, the spirit, because Aries are known for the resilient in their fight. They always have a comeback. They always talk before they, think. So you be seriously losing if you ever argue with an Aries. And don't let them be an Aries and a Gemini, or you might just hang the fuck up. Seriously. Aries are known for their spit back comebacks and their fighting spirit. That's why in the Aries age there was so much war. And then he's a Capricorn rising. Capricorn rising are the most driven sign in the damn zodiac. You give them a job, they would do it with so much utmost ability. I don't care if they have to step on their uncles, their brothers, their best friend, who gives a damn. They're tunnel vision to their path. Point blank, period. They're death to their path. They're so driven to whatever task and goal they may have. I only know Capricorn for a short amount of time, and I never knew a driven bunch of people in my life. I have mixed emotions when it comes to Capricorn. I never knew anyone that driven to their assignment in my life. Anyway, but that's what he was. Okay, so he was a fixed earth cardinal authority. Okay, literally Taurus, Aries, and Capricorn are like seriously authorities signs altogether. He offers structure in a dissolving age. You see, Jim Jones was the founder and leader of the People's Temple, a religious movement established in 1950s that initially promoted social justice, racial equality. Over time, Jones became increasingly authoritarian and paranoid. More than likely because he was, doing drugs, but you get the gist. Eventually relocating his followers to Jonestown, Guyana in 1978, facing investigations and defections. Jones orchestrated a mass murder suicide over 900 of his followers by cyanide laced drinks. Yeah, cyanide laced drinks, making it one of the largest mass deaths in modern history. So he managed to get a bunch of primarily colored people who are already living in servitude and violence and racial inequality. He knew what he had to do. He saw the sign, he studied the sign, and he sought the race who was in the most distress at the time and made them one of his biggest followings. And then basically, when you get to just hear some clips that can explain a little bit more to me.
The Jonestown Massacre, born May 13th, 1931, now well-known cult leader and mass murderer.
Hold on, just a minute.
The Jonestown Massacre, born May 13th, 1931, now a well-known cult leader and mass murderer, Jim Jones grew up in lower-class Indiana. As a child, his mother would constantly berate him with visions she had while she was pregnant with him, certain that he would one day grow up to be a prominent religious figure. So it's no surprise that his friends described him as highly odd, with an extreme interest in religion and death. His first job would be working at a hospital, where his co-workers noticed he, unlike the other workers, had no difficulty working with dead bodies. In 1955, he went on to work for a church he called the People's Temple, where he was loved, but couldn't stay long because he was convinced the government was after him, and that they actually had a plan to bomb the church. So he moved to Brazil for a while. When he came back, the People's Temple sort of dwindled in numbers. He went on to explain the bombing story, and hundreds of people believed him. They were so convinced the government was about to bomb them that they had to pack up and move. The headquarters of the new People's Temple would be in San Francisco, California, which they established in 1965, where Jim would go on to take advantage of people in need, and disguise his plan of manipulating people under left-wing politics. From 1965 to 1973, he went from 150 members to over 3,000 members, and he actually became quite famous, known by celebrities, politicians, and even held in high regards by other religious figures. He not only mastered the art of public speaking, but became a master manipulator, able to convince people of nearly anything, including his own wife, believing Jim must sleep around with as many partners as he could, so he could keep his powers, though she may have been the only person to know the real him. As he wore a mask of lies at all times, his congregation had been convinced he was a god, and had to be worshipped. Yet Jim told his wife in private that he was an atheist. They all knew the fact that Jim had to wear sunglasses at all times, as if he took them off, the glare of his unshielded eyes could accidentally kill. Yet he was just covering up to hide the red eyes he developed from years of using illicit substances. People started to catch on that this guy was not good, and in fear of his congregation fighting out, in 1977, he moved them to Guyana, a place he humbly named after himself, Jonestown, where he continued to manipulate, drug, and borderline torture his members, sometimes holding drinking the flavor red practices that he would say may or may not be poison, to see how they reacted. This commotion gained notice from the U.S. government. Representative Leo Ryan went to investigate the conditions of Jonestown, where he found numerous human rights abuse cases, 14 members even secretly explaining they wanted out to him. After a short time, the members and Leo left to the airport to get out, but what they didn't know was a member was secretly lying and telling Jim everything. At the airport, Jonestown members arrived with guns and started firing. They took the life of Leo, one Jonestown member, and 3 members of the media. And with the plan set in motion, Jim gathered everyone in Jonestown and began the flavor drinking event. Only this time, they were laced with cyanide, a chemical once ingested causes respiratory failure, coma, and eventually death. Jim had told them consuming this mixture would send them to live on another planet, where Jim would be the leader. Jim's armed guards blocked all exits. Children were forced to drink first, knowing once the parents see their kids dead, there would be no reason to live. 909 members of the People's Temple of Jonestown would drink the flavored mixture and die, including 304 children. Jim Jones would talk and oversee most of what happened, but later died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
When he asked if anyone dissented, there was one lady named Christine Miller who did stand up and say that she didn't want to, and so I didn't see her take anything or anything. She was alive when I left, but I would imagine from what she had said that she would probably resist it. And
what was the response to her dissent?
The general crowd shouted her down, told her she was a traitor, and they shouted her down. And on the way out, there was a little girl named Julie Reynolds that was being forced to take it. She was about 13, I guess. And the woman who supervised her and one of the nurses were.
He's talking about when they were forced to take cyanide. This is what he's talking about. These are some of the surviving members of this mass poisoning. So you're going to hear a couple of their testimonies, and they get really dark and sick. He managed to convince all of these people to do this. I'm telling you guys this because MAGA, you should be listening. This is what Trump is. He is a cult leader. Some of these cult leaders don't even know they're cult leader. They really do believe that they're prophets, and most of them are not. And I can't say this enough. Most of them are not even religious. Trump has said several times that he's not even a Christian. He think he was sent by God. Hell, he think he is God. Most cult leaders are not religious people. They may have been, grew up, may have been when they was younger or something, but they end up being serious atheists. They knew how to play the game. They knew how to take advantage of these people. Okay? This is what we're seeing with Trump and his followers. They're in a cult right now, and they have no idea that they're in a cult. And if we don't waken them up, they are going to take us down with them. And that needs to stop. This is very imperative. This is very truthful. And you guys should be liking this and sending this to whoever you think a MAGA follower it is that needs to see this shit, okay? Now, let me get back to the video.
Because she kept, the general crowd shouted her down, told her she was a traitor, and, you know, they shouted her down. And on the way out there was a little girl named Julie Reynolds that was being forced to take it. She was about 13, I guess. And the woman who supervised her and one of the nurses were actually forcing her to take it because she kept spitting it out, and they were forcing her to take it.
Was there a lot of noise?
No, it wasn't that much noise. I mean, children were crying, they were going through convulsions, and some of the grandparents and parents were, you know, getting hysterical as they saw the children die. But basically, a lot of the people were sitting, especially the senior people, were just sitting and just waiting or watching, you know.
We found a lot of narcotics like Thorazine at the scene. What role did they play in the administrative report?
I don't know. One of the officials here asked me that, and he theorized that they may have injected people with tranquilizers and stuff. But I don't know. I don't have any idea about that.
No, was there a cemetery in the camp?
There was a cemetery was about a mile away on the road to come in.
How many people?
To my knowledge, it's either 3 or 4.
They died a long time.
The last one died a few months ago.
Maybe how old were they?
All of them were old senior people. Yes.
How were the guards armed?
Some had shotguns, rifles, revolvers, crossbows, and bow and arrows.
How many were there?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you that.
You have any idea how long you'll be here?
No, I don't. No.
If you had to bet your money, was there only 600 people out there, or was there ever 1,000?
I would say there was never 1,000, but I can't say if there was only 600.
What kind of scenario could you see for people leaving that setting where the poison was being distributed? As far as how difficult it was for you to get away. How could other people have gotten away, and where could they be?
I don't know how they could have gotten away, and I don't know where they could be.
When did people start to die? I mean, who started to die first? How did it go?
Jim Jones said, must do the babies first, take care of the babies first. So at that time, we were having nurses and going out, picking up babies out of mothers' arms, and some of the mothers themselves were coming up with their babies, and they were forced to take the potion.
The Kool-Aid and cyanide?
Yes.
And where did they take the babies? Into that back area and lay them down on the ground?
They took them from, after they injected them and took the poison, they took them and laid them right outside the pavilion, right off into the garden where they was planting food, so forth. They laid them right out there.
So all the babies were laid out there dead?
Yes.
What about people who didn't want to die and they saw this going on?
People that didn't want to die, I would say a lot of people didn't want to die. They were just sitting there, frightened, afraid. Jim Jones was continually saying, hurry, hurry, we must all do this. We must all die. We must die with dignity and so forth. And that began to come out of his seat and go flowing through the audience where the people were sitting and beginning to pull them up out of their seats and lead them on into the where the portion was. And
Did they go willingly?
little struggle. Wasn't very much struggle. Just some. I seen one in one case. She struggled pretty hard because she didn't want to die.
And how did they kill her?
They injected her in the arm.
How quick did she die?
The death took less than 5 minutes.
How many people struggled like that?
I can only say I've seen that particular one. I can only say that I've seen that one.
Where would they take the bodies after they died?
After the bodies were injected or sipped in the cup, it would be 2 people. They would lead them shoulder by shoulder, to a clear open other field, and they would lay them down, face down, and let them lay there and die.
Did you see a point where they laid people on top of people?
No, I didn't see that.
Does that surprise you now that you've heard that?
Yes, it does.
How do you explain that, sir?
Yes. Right now, I can't find the words to explain it. It's just something that I never thought it existed. Never wanted to. I never did wanted to believe it, that this was going to take place. It was just something that after I seen that it was coming through, that it was going through, only thing I was trying to do was trying to figure a way out of it, because I never believed in taking my life. I never believed that suicide.
Yeah, speaking about Donald Trump and how he's going to survive the State of the Union address, let's talk about Jim Jones, because we often see cult leaders in endgame stage being pumped up by the people around them, often on drugs, sometimes on alcohol. Extreme groups and extremely.
Okay, before we go on, I'm sorry about this. I did say something before, but I forgot my microphone was on mute. She's going to offer insight on the comparisons the same people who are being influenced in this cult. MAGA is a cult. MAGA is not some empowerment movement. MAGA is a cult. And she's going to offer some little insight on how it relates to the other cult leaders and Trump and his followers. So my MAGA people, pay attention, okay? Send this to MAGA people. Send this to the airways. Listen to this video, because you are currently being brainwashed from reality. He's offering all of these things that we have told you several times that he was lying about, that it has been proven pathological liar. Okay, I'm trying to wake you up before he take us to the shithole. Well, we already shithole, but he's going to take us deep in the shithole, and we need to get out of the shithole. I don't want to die, okay, and I want to wear a gas mask just to go to the store, okay, and I want to continuously see homeless people all over the damn streets, and our kids been so. I don't want to see that anymore. I'm sorry. So please listen to this and share, and like.
Yeah, speaking about Donald Trump and how he's going to survive the State of the Union address, let's talk about Jim Jones, because we often see cult leaders in endgame stage being pumped up by the people around them, often on drugs, sometimes on alcohol. I'm Daniela, scholar of cults, extreme groups, and extremely bad leadership. And I grew up in the Children of God religious cult, which I've written this.
See, yes, I do see, since I mentioned MAGA, my live show is conveniently messing up. Yes, I do see that. Are we even freaking surprised? So let's hope that it clears up so you guys can hear everything that I'm saying. Thanks for proving my point, because I said that just to see if my live show would start messing up. That's literally why I said that. The evidence I'm collecting is obese. You guys are dumb. Fall for it every time. Such foolish people. All right, so anyway. Okay.
Really bad leadership. And I grew up Children of God religious cult, which I've written this book about, Uncultured. You can get signed copies attached here. So in the Children of were not allowed to drink. There was very, very specific rules about when adults could drink. These are purity requirements, black and white rules that say we do not do X, Y, or Z. I've written about purity requirements in my new book, The Culting of America, also attached here. So the interesting thing about purity requirements is the cult leader almost never has to follow them, right? So nobody drank in the Children of God, but David Berg was an absolute wino, non-functional alcoholic. My mom tells crazy stories about being sent to him as a 13-year-old girl in the sex cult, and it being her responsibility, her being told by his wife that she needed to not allow him to drink. So at this point, they're trying to control the leader, okay? Because you still need the cult leader in a cult of personality, even if the cult leader is not very functional. So that's what we see with Jim Jones, right? By the time Jim Jones is in Guyana, he is being hopped up on barbiturates and amphetamines by his doctor. And there's this whole leadership structure in a cult, right? A cult is not just the leader at the top that does whatever they want. Just like any organization, you have to have a leadership structure, right? But the cult leader is not necessarily fungible, right? Just because you have this power structure in place doesn't mean you can just remove the leader, right? Generally, the head of the snake. If it's a cult of an idea, it's a little easier to replace the leader. When it's a cult of personality, it absolutely is not, right? So even though the leader is not really functional at all, this is when the leader becomes almost a semi-puppet. I think it's dangerous to think that Trump was a puppet the whole time, right? I think maybe they thought they were getting a puppet. All of these cults of idea that have been organizing really since the 30s, but especially since the 80s. And I call that idea racist conservatism, right? And I think they thought they were getting a patsy with Trump, who was just going to be a puppet. Oh no, just like the Children of God founder, he pulled all these cults into his cult of personality. This wreaks havoc if the cult leader is inaccessible. Want to keep their power structure going. have to keep the leader going. Anyway, they was hopped up on substances, was never even rational in the first place, but is now saying and doing really crazy stuff, which then the cult leadership has to go along with, because they've set up a structure where you follow the leader in an unquestioning amount. As I've been saying to you all since this most recent election, it has seemed very obvious that the day he took over, we were all thrust into the cult of America. Last administration, it wasn't nearly this obvious and this intense. But it has also been obvious to me two things. One, a cult cannot possibly survive forcing 2/3 of its adult members to be in the cult against their will. It just will not work. And two, that they have been a cult in endgame this whole time, and they don't know what they're doing, and they're not good at it. The endgame ups the desperation, it ups the shenanigans, but it also usually gets us closer to the catastrophic failure and ending of the cult. So, keeping our fingers crossed for what is going to happen here. I'm Danielle, a scholar of cults, extreme groups, and extremely bad leadership, and you can get both of my books attached here or listen to me read them to you anywhere you get your audiobooks.
As I stated, MAGA is definitely a cult, and considering I mentioned MAGA, my live show is probably going to start messing up. No, nothing new there. But I do want to say this. Okay? As I stated, I'm trying to see if it's going to mess up again here. Just want to see if it messes up again. Okay, as I was saying, Trump offered the relatability of his followers to say he knew how it felt to struggle. He knew how it felt to be singled out. He knew how it felt to be ridiculed. He don't know how that feels. He don't know how it feels to struggle. Trump has no ability and no history on what it feels to be a normal demographic citizen. He has never struggled a day in his life. He don't know how it feels to work at all. He knows how it feels to get things handed to him on silver platters or bank loans or notes or deeds. That's what he knew. Getting everything you want. Trump offered a relatability. Geminis are notorious for being relatable to anybody. They can adapt to any environment. They don't transform themselves. They just adapt. They use different elements of themselves to adapt to whatever crowd they're in. As I'm saying, anytime you see a Gemini and a Scorpio in the same zodiac sign, they are seriously great actors and actresses. Seriously. So all I'm saying is this. Trump is the key element of this cult called MAGA. His followers some of them are seeing the truth, and some of them are so deep into the cult, they are not knowing which way is up. We are going to offer them some kind of insight so they can see the truth in what Trump really is. Because if we don't stop him now, we are going to fail in this United States that were known as the land of opportunity and somewhat freedom is not going to be anymore. Well, it will be, but I'm just saying it'll be a long time coming. Okay, so let's move on to another cult leader figure. Okay. Charles Manson. Charles Manson was a Scorpio. Scorpio sun, Aquarius moon, and the Taurus rising. Those are the most predominant. This embodiment of these zodiac signs made him lethal. I told you guys what Scorpios represent. They're able to transform into anything. Key example, Will Smith is what? A Libra and a Scorpio, and I don't know what his rising is. I think he's a Gemini or something like that. I don't remember what his rising is. Let me be real with you. Which is why he's able to adapt to every character he has. That's why Diddy was able to transform himself, hence changing his name every 3.5 seconds. He's a Scorpio. Beyonce, she transformed herself into so many different characters. I don't even think she knows who she is anymore. Adapted to anybody around her. Okay? So, Charles Manson, Scorpio sun, Aquarius moon, and Taurus rising. Scorpio gave him the transformation. He embodied the shadow of transformation and rebellion, and he was very intelligent. Oh, yes, Charles Manson led the so-called Manson family, a cult based in California in the late 1960s. He was charismatic and manipulative. Manson convinced his followers that an apocalyptic race war was coming and that he would be its leader. Yeah, because he offered that solid foundation, but with the future thinking and intelligence of a Taurus and Aquarius. Okay. So under his direction, several members of his group committed a series of brutal murders because he told him to, including the infamous killing of actress Sharon Tate. Manson was convicted of murder and conspiracy, spending the rest of his life in prison. But because he had the elements of those ages, which is why he became lethal. He offered the savior look. He made himself in depiction of the savior look because that's he knew how people were looking to see. So he gave a somewhat visual of Jesus that Jesus don't really look like this, but we were taught for Jesus to look like this. So he gave him the depiction of somewhat Jesus. He talked about future prophecies. Aquarius is known for future thinking. They're way behind their thinking. They're always looking at facts, elements. A lot of stuff he said was actually true. I'm going to be real with you. When he talked about the elite and what they're trying to do, that was actually true. He's just crazy. So Charles Manson offered that insight. And then he offered a nurturing embodiment and emotional equality that a Taurus offers. Nature. With these three key elements of his signs made him, well, you get the gist. Take a look at these videos.
Ever wonder what happened to Charles Manson? Well, I'm going to tell you. All right, guys. Charles Manson didn't just want attention. He wanted a freaking apocalypse, okay? But let's start from the beginning. Charles Manson was born in 1934 to a 16-year-old mother. His childhood was unstable, and he was shuffled between relatives and reform schools, and by his early 20s, he had already spent years in prison for theft, fraud, and other crimes. While in prison, he became obsessed with religion, Scientology concepts, manipulation techniques, and music. He learned how to read people, how to mirror them, how to make them feel chosen and wanted. And when he was released in 1967, he landed in San Francisco during the height of the hippie movement, free love, LSD, anti-war protests. Perfect timing. He began gathering mostly younger women who were searching for meaning. He gave them new names, encouraged them to cut ties with family, used LSD heavily during spiritual sessions where he would break down their identities and rebuild them around him. And they became the Manson family. Eventually, they moved to, I think it's pronounced Spahn Ranch. An old Western movie set outside of Los Angeles. If I'm saying it wrong, let me know in the comments. Sorry, but now here's where it turns dark, okay? Manson believed the Beatles were speaking directly to him through their 1968 White Album, okay? Especially the song Helter Skelter. To most people, Helter Skelter is just a chaotic rock song about a British amusement park slide, right? But Manson interpreted it as a prophecy. He believed that a race war between Black and white Americans was coming. Black Americans would win the war, but according to his delusion, they wouldn't know how to govern. So they would turn to him, hiding in the desert, to lead them. Okay? That's what he thought that the song meant for him. Anyways, he believed that the murderers, okay, would ignite this war. And he told his followers they had to start Helter Skelter. And on August 8th of 1969, he sent Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian, I think it is, to 10050 Celio Drive, the home Sharon Tate was renting. Sharon Tate was 8 months pregnant, and she and 4 others were killed that night. And the word pig was written in blood on the door. The next night, Manson went along as they targeted Leno and Rosemary South before leaving others to carry out the murders. And the phrase Helter Skelter was written in blood on the wall. He believed that this would spark nationwide chaos, but it didn't. Instead, it triggered one of the most infamous murder investigations in American history. And the case broke open when Susan Atkins bragged about the killings to fellow inmates after being arrested on just like totally unrelated charges, okay? In 1970, the trial began and it was chaos, okay? Manson carved an X, like the letter X, into his forehead in court, saying he had X'd himself out of society. And his followers copied him. Later, he carved it into a swastika. And they sang in unison, showed up dressed alike, stared down jurors. And in 1971, Manson was convicted of 7 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of conspiracy. He was sentenced to death. But in 1972, California overturned the death penalty and his sentence became life in prison. Now, here's something most people don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But even behind bars, women were obsessed with Charles Manson. He received thousands of letters. In 2014, when he was freaking 80 years old, he obtained a marriage license with a 26-year-old woman named Afton Burton, who went by the name of Star. She had been visiting him in prison for years, but their marriage never actually legally happened. Reports later said she alleged body after death to display it for profit. But like the license expired, it didn't happen. So earlier in his life, just a fun fact, before the murders, Manson had been legally married 2 times. One to Rosalie Jane Willis from 1955 to 1958 and Leanna Candy Stevens from 1959 to 1963. He had children from those relationships. But after his conviction, he would never leave prison. And Charles Manson died in 2017 at age 83 from natural causes while still incarcerated. And he never got the race war that he predicted. He never became the leader he imagined. He became a symbol of manipulation, cult psychology, and how powerful influence can be. So that is the story of Charles Manson. Never killed anyone that we know of. Just had his little followers do it. So That's it for this one, guys. As always, follow me for more videos just like this one. Like and repost, help me out. Comment and let me know what you think. Do you guys just think he was just crazy on LSD? Do you think he, like, these people, like, what do you guys think? Like, do you think he ever actually killed anyone? Do you think he was just, like, trying to manipulate people? Let me know. And check out this playlist right here called Story Times for more videos just like this one. But that's it for this one, guys. Bye.
Okay, so here is what I am seeing. Aside from the fact that he started feeling himself at the end, which is notorious for Scorpio energy, because he started embodying what he was preaching, which is known for not Taurus but Scorpios. But a lot of things he said actually did come into present. There was a race war. It was, and certain race was going to come into power. They're not going to know how to govern. That part is definitely true. That is happening now. So a lot of stuff he said was beyond his time. It's just when he started feeling himself, I'm assuming when he started taking drugs and his brain started scrambling, he started acting like some psychopath. And I'm assuming his look didn't make it any better. That made him go insane. But a lot of shit he said was pretty, I'm like, okay, interesting. That did happen. That's when I'm listening. And when I was reading about his tale years ago, and I'm getting a recap of it now, a lot of stuff he did say come true. Okay, those are definite signs of Aquarius as well. But here is a more different and interesting perspective as well.
Remember this guy, Charlie Manson? He started a cult in the 60s called The Family and manipulated his followers to commit mass unaliving of a group of Hollywood elites in their mansion. Well, the case is even more disturbing than it appeared.
You guys remember what I said about the family perspective? Remember, Tauruses are known for emotional, engaging, nurturing, bondment with nature, with love, familiarity. Tauruses are known for that. Yeah, he's a Scorpio, Aquarius, and a Taurus.
And yes, the CIA was involved. During that time, the CIA was obsessed with mind control experiments, and they were basically looking for a way to develop what they referred to as a Manchurian candidate, or someone that could be manipulated into unaliving American government enemies. The CIA also thought a little compound called LSD showed great potential in its ability to facilitate mind control. And guess who was confirmed to have been a part of at least 2 LSD mind control experiments during this time? None other than Charlie Manson. In fact, Manson's parole officer, Roger Smith, was a PhD student at Berkeley that had been granted money by the CIA to research LSD use. What a coincidence. Roger Smith set up a free clinic in San Francisco where he administered LSD to Manson and many of Manson's followers. Those experiments later came to be known as a part of MKUltra, and Manson later came to be known as one of the most dangerous and prolific cult leaders of all time. Manson completely brainwashed his victims to do his violent bidding and commit unspeakable acts that they wouldn't have even considered before they met him. This was an ability that the CIA was actively researching and trying to replicate for use by the American government. So do you think Manson's involvement with the CIA was a coincidence? Or do you think it was an intentional experiment to see how far cult followers could be pushed when under the influence of a charismatic leader like Manson? If your mind was as blown by this information as mine, I made t-shirts to commemorate the fact that one of the most violent, dangerous, prolific cult leaders of all time was fed LSD by the American government. Never forget.
Yeah, and we're currently living into fruition of that particular cultness with the MAGA people. Now, here is some insight from the Marilyn Manson himself, the man who gave the visualization of the leader that everyone bowed down to, which is Jesus. Talked about himself as if he was a prophet. talked about future thinking, nurturing, family, all of the elements of what he is going to speak. Listen to him speak. It's very intriguing. Hold on.
States is owned by foreign corporations. Nixon opened it up for foreign trade. And when Nixon opened up for foreign trade, the people of Europe and the common market in Spain and different places, they don't care about the United States forest. And in short, the United States has been sold out by people who really don't care for anything but money. I've had all the money in the world 3 times. I had to give it back to keep the game going.
What game?
The game. It's a game. Money is a game. It's only real to the people who work for it. The people that don't need to work for money, it's a monopoly game. It's a game of paper. It's all on paper. I've got a production company, and I've got a recording company, and I've got a mansion in Beverly Hills, and I've got Rolls Royces and Ferraris. I've got everything money can buy, but it's all on paper. Everything's done through the companies and through the tax loopholes. And the people that live on that level, they don't care about the average honest mule that just goes back and forwards to work. They don't care about the children that are in the streets that are thrown out of this upper echelon of existence. And then when all the children fall down into me, on my level, I pretty much identify with them because I was a throwaway also. So it goes to the point of, do you really care?
When you said,
and who does care? And if anybody cares, they're considered crazy. I've been 15 years in the nut ward for trying to stop the trees from being cut down, from trying to rearrange a lifestyle of a bunch of people who don't want to change, but they're going to change because the cold wind is blowing.
Do you guys hear what he just said? He literally just laid down the elite. He said rich people only care about themselves. They don't care about America. They only care about money. He's dropping some serious gems right now. Even though he was a murderer, but he laid out some gems right now. In order to be a cult leader, you can't be an idiot. Idiots can't be cult leaders because, for real, you need some kind of structure. You need some kind of plan. You need some kind of strategic thinking. Most cult leaders are very intelligent. They're either intelligent in conning people, manipulating people, where they master to the most craftiness of their ability, where it becomes second nature for them to be a con man. Hence, our president. Trump is a con leader. He's been conning all his goddamn life. It's second nature to him. He can just get on, as soon as he get on our microphone, he step into character, which Leos are known to do. Step into character. He start lying. He start moving from side to side and say, we have the most fabulous civilization in the world. We are winning the war. I don't think he said inflation or anything. He said gas prices are rising. We are winning all around the circles. We are winning. Everything is wonderful. He goes into a whole selling zone. I don't even think he even know what zone he in or what the fuck he be saying half the time. Because he mastered his craft of being a manipulator, which is literally what Charles Manson did, which is literally what Jim Jones did. Now, let's move on to another cult leader. Charles Manson may have been a genocidal, crazy psychopath, but the man was intelligent as fuck. He knew exactly what he was talking about, which is why he was able to garner followers. Okay, he mastered the craft of manipulation. Now, he could have been a really good leader if he wasn't so fucking nuts, but it is what it is. Now, let's talk about this religious kook. We have Marshall Applewhite. He was a Taurus sun, a Taurus moon, and Aries wife. He was a full-blown fucking Taurus. Where Tauruses offer nurturability, they offer emotional acceptance, they offer familiarity, they offer foundation and ground, and blah, blah, blah. So he offered the escape from a world no longer can be trusted. He took advantage of humankind wanting an escape. You see, Marshall Applewhite was the co-founder of Heaven's Gate, a cult blending Christian and New Age beliefs with science fiction themes. Because I told you, Tauruses are the architectures, they are the cooks, they are the epitome of our foundation. They were predominantly part of the zodiac signs of most of our historical builders back in the Egyptian age, which was the Taurus age. Okay. And they're very artistic as well. So Applewhite taught the followers they could extend to a higher existence, abroad an alien spacecraft by leaving their earthly bodies behind. Remember, I told you they always offer an escape in the Age of Pisces because people were looking for escape. So they went to different elements, different strategy, either by space, either by death, either by, I don't know, stars or whatever. They knew what to do in the Pisces age because everyone was looking for the unknown to escape the reality which I can't even speak, which in what they were in at the time. So he took advantage of that. In his future thinking, he took advantage of that. So he said that there would be a broad and alien spacecraft leaving their earthly bodies behind. So in 1997, Applewhite led 38 of his followers in a mass suicide in California, believing it will allow their souls to board a spaceship training to help Bob Comet. Yeah. He knew people was fascinated with space. I don't even think he even believed in space. He knew it was bullshit, but he believed in it. And he knew people was going to believe it. You tell them stuff, it sounds good, they believe it. It was easy to manipulate people in the Pisces age. No offense for the Pisces age, but I'm just saying, but it was. I'm just being real with you. Okay? So take a look at these clips from the psychopath.
This fool told everyone that Jesus would come back as a Texan man on a spaceship, and somehow everyone believed him. Let's talk about Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate was founded by Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. So from what I read, Marshall originally wanted to become a minister, but he always struggled with his sexuality, so he eventually switched paths and became a music teacher. He was later fired from the university he worked at for having an affair with a male student. That affair ended his marriage, and then he completely spiraled. He had a mental breakdown and ended up in a psych ward. And while he was there, he met his nurse, Bonnie Nettles. They started talking about spirituality, and let's just say that they were both just as fucking crazy. According to them, they met for a divine purpose. Together, they formed the cult Heaven's Gate and started recruiting members from wherever they could. They were mainly college students, so like from parking lots or random spiritual gatherings. In 1974, they released their teachings, claiming that Jesus would come back as a Texan man, and their followers would be resurrected as aliens after boarding a spaceship that took them to the next level. To isolate the group, they moved their most devoted followers to a remote location. And here, the followers gave up everything. They cut off contact with the outside world. They all cut their hair to look the same. Some even went as far as going to Mexico to be castrated, to rid themselves from all human desire. In 1997, the Hale-Bopp comet was discovered. Marshall told his followers that this was the time that they were waiting for, and it was time to leave their human bodies. So over the course of 3 days, in a mansion in Rancho Santa Fe, California, one by one, they ate poisoned applesauce, tied plastic bags over their heads, and lay down to die. On March 26, 1997, 39 bodies were found, wearing matching black jumpsuits and the infamous Nike running shoes, lying neatly in bunk beds with purple clots covering their faces. The craziest part of the story is that they all left farewell videos calmly explaining why they did it.
This is so tragic. So tragic. He really took advantage of this age. He really took advantage of people wanting to escape their reality. And this is going to get deeper because there's future people and modern day people who also did the same thing and did it for a number of years. We're going to talk about them as well.
In March 1997, members of the Heaven's Gate group, led by Marshall Applewhite, isolated themselves in a mansion in Rancho Santa Fe in California. Applewhite told them that a spacecraft was following the approaching comet Hale-Bopp and would take them to a higher level of existence. He claimed the ship was being hidden by the government and calling the plan their final exit. In his own last message, Applewhite said they hated life on Earth and were ready to leave it. Over 3 days, starting around March 22nd, most members took a mix of drugs and alcohol, then placed plastic bags over their heads. They wore identical black uniforms with Nike shoes, and each had a small bag next to them, containing a few dollars in identification. Applewhite was among the last 4 to die, helped by 3 others who then killed themselves. His body was found on the bed in the master bedroom. Medical examiners later found that he did not have cancer, as he had believed, but he did have heart disease. On March 26th, police arrived after an anonymous tip and discovered 39 bodies. It was the largest mass suicide of U.S. citizens since Jonestown in 1978. Most of those who died had been in the group for about 20 years, fully devoted to Applewhite's teachings.
Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to evacuate is to leave with us. You know, intelligent human beings should realize that everything has their cycle. They have their season. They have their beginning. They have their end. They have cycles. We're not saying that planet Earth is coming to an end. We're saying that planet Earth is about to be refurbished, spaded under, and have another chance to serve as a garden for another human civilization.
This is the influence that this man had over these people, offering them some kind of escape and salvation. The same thing that pastors are doing. The same thing bishops are doing. The same thing fathers, priests, and Vatican, all the people. This is why they are so famous. This is why they make money, offering false hope that they can't prove that even exist themselves. This is why they are becoming so rich. Wake up, ladies and gentlemen. MAGA people and MAGA followers are following and devoting themselves to Trump because he offers something that they're seeking, whether it be division, racism, some kind of white seniority because they feel that they're losing their seniority for whatever fucking reason they feel that for, or any other sick, selfish, demented reasons. This is why MAGA followers are following Trump, because Trump is offering that right now. Okay, even though he can't promise that because he can't see the future and he can't shape the future no matter how deadly he try to get. But this is why MAGA people are following Trump, because this is what he is offering right now. Okay, now last but not least, let's talk about David Koresh. David Koresh is a Leo sun, Aquarius moon, and a Libra rising. David Koresh, he was a fixed fire visionary. Air, literally. He positioned himself as the center of divine narrative, as Leo does, offering a different approach. David Koresh, born Vernon Howell, was the leader of the branch of Davidians, a religious sect that broke away from the Seventh-day Adventist church, charismatic and controversial. Koresh claimed to be the final prophet and interpreted the Bible in extreme ways, so he memorized the entire freaking Bible. Okay. In 1993, a standoff between his followers and federal agents at the group's compound near Waco, Texas, ending in tragedy with the fire broke out during the FBI raid, leading to the deaths of Koresh and 75 of his followers, including many children. Okay. None of them reflect the mutable energy of the era, you know, in terms of Pisces. They reflect the opposite, and that's why they were able to dominate it. Because he was a Leo, he offered the leader approach, he offered humanitarian, he offered some kind of prophet. Because he was Aquarius, he was a future thinker, innovative, and smart. but also emotionless. So he offers some kind of emotional stability, because Aquarius we are known to seem cold, even though we're not cold, but we seem cold. And Libra, he offers some kind of justice. Like he wanted justice. He wanted some kind of equality. He wanted fairness. Libras are known for that. Okay. He offered that in the age where people were lost and confused and manipulated. Take a look at these clips.
He told people he was the Lamb of God, and hundreds of Americans believed him. Welcome to Kingdom Daily. This is Cult Horror Level 1, David Koresh. David Koresh did not preach out of the Bible, no. He twisted the word so much that people thought that he was a fulfillment of a prophecy. He isolated hundreds of his followers in Waco, Texas, and had them convinced that he alone could open the seals and revelations. He controlled the families, took their freedoms away, and even got to pick which ones he kept as his wives, even if they were someone else's wives already. Parents and loved ones alike lived in constant fear, being told that if they left, it would lead to eternal damnation. But of course, the real tragedy came when they went into a standoff with the United States government. Dozens lost their lives, including quite an amount of little ones. This is the dangers that we face when we are following man and not Christ. The Bible warns us quite clearly in Matthew 7:15. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but internally are like ravaging wolves. David was a wolf. No matter how convincing a person sounds, even myself, if they point to themselves before they point you in the direction of Christ, well, we got a problem here, folks. Conviction over comfort. Follow me if you're into that. Shalom.
If you've been following me lately, then you've seen I showed you David Koresh. Now, David Koresh was a cult leader. That cult went down in 1993 in Waco, Texas. You know, the Branch Davidians, 7-day Adventists. And isn't it amazing that he looks a lot like what could be his? Here, just check it out. Yep, you got it. And he was also born in 1993. Now, y'all know, once I get into a rabbit hole, oh, it's hard for me to get out. Now, I wonder what relationship a certain someone had with those 7-day Adventists in Waco, Texas. And you know what's funny about this whole situation? Just read above. Pause to read. Just pause to read, please. Someone else. Just pause to.
I'll pause to read for you guys. Trump went to Waco to bring back visions of cult leader David Koresh, Democratic representative. Yes. Yes, Trump. And you still are not getting that this man is acting like a cult leader, my MAGA people. Please wake up, ladies and gentlemen. He is leading you to death. He's leading you to suffer. He's leading you to fail. He's not leading you to salvation. What cult leader led you to salvation? I'll wait. None. You can even say God is a cult leader. He led all his people to death. Okay, so look, Donald Trump held a rally in Waco, I heard it pronounced several ways, trust me, Texas, this weekend during the, well, it wasn't this weekend, but you get, this is back in 2023. This weekend during the 30-year anniversary of the federal government siege on the Branch Davidian, as I just said, sounds familiar. I just talked about that, didn't I? Davidian, I said that. I said here, offering a different, David Koresh, born in Vernon Hall, was the leader of Branch Davidian. He was studying this man. Okay. Aquarius Leo, he wanted to bring the elements of Aquarius Leo, which is the top tier of his age. If you're Aquarius Leo, you literally probably more than likely will receive cosmic energy like freaking Michael Jackson, hell like Jesus. because Michael Jackson was a Virgo in Pisces, the top tier of the Pisces age, which is a Pisces Virgo. Okay, and then it's Gemini and Sagittarius, which is the second tier. Okay, so you have during the 30-year anniversary of federal government siege on the Branch Davidian compound in 1993, Democratic Representative Jared Moskowitz, I'm assuming, let me try to pronounce this right quick. Moskowitz, I'm assuming Moskowitz. Sorry for mispronouncing that. I'm so sorry. Said that Trump's choice of locale brought back visions of Branch Davidian leader and self-proclaimed prophet David Koresh, but Moskowitz isn't alone in noticing the correlation. A minister in a modern offshoot of the Branch Davidians has also said the former president was making a statement by coming to Waco. You don't see stadiums of people chanting "lock her up" anymore because it's not apparently. He was studying cult. Trump is a cult leader, my MAGA people. He is not a savior. He don't care about you. Hell, these people, these cult leaders didn't care about their followers. They killed them all. Okay, please wake up.
Read, please. Someone else has made this connection also.
As you see here, there are books here. The KKK and Donald Trump. Trump is acting like the KKK members, even though the exterior and the clothing the KKK members was the original clothing of Moors. In our movement a long time ago, I dropped a video like that. I have a lot of shorts I want to drop. I just haven't got around to it. But they stole a lot of our culture and a lot of our own way that we express ourselves, and they put them in racist sheets, but you get the gist. So, yes.
He even wrote a book about it. So maybe, just maybe he already knew what I'm trying to show you. Now, when the good man above wake me up at 4:30 in the morning with information and I get a moment, y'all are going to get that information. And when I put it out, you can rest assured I'm going to dig and dig and dig until I can make the connection. And here's the connection. Now, if you want to know who was running everything, Seventh-day Adventists, the Branch Davidians. Now, ain't that some shit? They prove that we're going through Revelation. And we also know that the Bible will come with scriptures, right? So, is it true prophecy, or have the Seventh-day Adventists made it to the highest of highest level, and they've now had a chance to push their ideology all over the country? Wow. And TikTok, this is fake, scripted. I told y'all before, I am trying to write the perfect movie. I want to be a producer, like Spielberg, just better.
Coffee and cult talk. Let's do this. Alrighty, so the Branch Davidians that were when everything when everything went to absolute hell in a handbasket. This is David Koresh, which is what he's known by. However, his legal name was Vernon Wayne Howell. He changed his name to David Koresh to create this level of influence on the Branch Davidians. Yeah. So, and by a little, I mean a lot. Not a lot of friends. And also, too, he was able to recite the Bible from memory, but not because he wanted to just, he knew the word of God, which is the way he put it, like, oh, God just speaks to me, so I just know everything, which in reality, he had severe dyslexia, and he memorized the Bible because it was easy to memorize it and recite it from memory than for him to actually try to read it. Yes, that is like top level manipulation. Alrighty, so he finds the Branch Davidians after several years of just not fitting in. He's obviously way off his fucking rocker. And the lady running it is a much older lady, and her husband has passed on, and she's just kind of lonely and easy to take advantage of. So Vernon goes up in there, you know, reciting the Bible from memory and everything, and he really sweet talks this lady, right? So that's what you're probably wondering. Wait. He created no, he did not create the Branch Davidians. The Branch Davidians were actually living on that compound outside of Waco for many, many years. Generations of families lived on there. So they were actually already like halfway brainwashed because they were living in a religious compound and under some pretty strenuous rules. Obviously, it got a lot worse because this guy was a sick fuck. But they were already about halfway there. In my opinion, if Vernon had to create the compound and create his whole group of followers, he wouldn't have been able to do it because, quite frankly, he just wasn't that smooth. And you can look up a lot of his old interviews and a lot of stuff like that. So how did this turn into a 51-day siege and the largest ATF fuck up ever? Alrighty, so Vernon Howell takes it over after he's, like we said, he sweet talked that old lady, right? So they decide that, like a lot of religious groups do, and I want to say back then, but they're still doing it, the end was near and the government was coming, and they were going to steal all their weapons, take their children, and burn down their home. So what, in your opinion, would have been the most counterintuitive approach to someone who had those ideals? Doing what they think you're going to do, just throwing that out there. Alrighty, and then another interesting tie-in with all of this is actually, this is tied in to the Oklahoma City bombing also, and I will get to how in part 2. So, once David takes power, what's going on behind the scenes and how does the ATF get involved? It's hilarious.
Yep. I'm not going to play part 2. I'll let you guys research that on your own. But David Koresh pretty much offered some kind of resilience and fight. Okay. In the age where things were seriously catastrophic, we had just got through a whole age where drugs was all over the damn place. I mean, drugs was all over the place during the 80s and 90s, man. It was crazy. Actually started in the 70s and until like the 90s, mid 90s, where cocaine was just a normal thing. In the early 2000s, it kind of was, okay, drugs are bad, but during that time, it wasn't. The point of the matter is we were during a time where everything was catastrophic, everything was just chaotic at the time, and he offered some kind of resistance. He offered some kind of answer. That's what the hell he offered in that age where it was easy to manipulate any goddamn body. So we're going to move on here. Since I broke down all the cult leaders.
Alrighty.
What is the big comparison? Here's the clean takeaway. The Age of Pisces didn't create cult leaders, it created the need for them. Pisces equals confusion, longing, spiritual vulnerability. That's what the Pisces offered, okay? As you see there. See? As you see here. Okay? Fixed signs, certainty, charisma, and conviction. This is what the Pisces did. People in a dissolving age cling to fixed energy. That's what it did. The people who was more stable. This age is fixed energy. Pisces age was a mutable energy. So you had signs that was offering some kind of stability, some kind of foundation, some solidarity. Okay. So as we move into the Aquarius age, and age of truth, transparency, and collective awakening, we can finally see the shadow of the Pisces era clearly. Let me break it down a little more deeply, but let me just say this here. Okay, as you can see here, the age of Aquarius, this is not the end of the world. This is the end of the age of Pisces, which was the age of believing, and the beginning of the age of Aquarius, which is the age of knowing, which means that ignorance is now choice. So ignorance was bliss back then. Not knowing was blissful. Not knowing the truth and believing some man who tells you the truth, who's offering you this escape, was the way of living back in the Pisces age. Now it's like you choose to be ignorant. Ignorance is no longer cool anymore, and it's not blissful. So, and then we have this here. The love of Pisces, limited imagination, creativity, and intuition, peacekeeping abilities, empathetic and loving nature, similar spiritual beliefs, humility and kindness, compassion and hopefulness. They dislike that at Pisces. It's often very emotional, sensitive, can be easily offended, hurt, can be clingy, possessive, and codependent, is easily bored, distracted, and can hold grudges. This is what some Pisces energy offer and are. Okay. Do have a love in Aquarius, spirituality, passion, exciting, enthusiastic, and adventurous nature, a positive and caring and kind approach to everything, intuitiveness and empathy. People, what they dislike about Aquarius, lack of reliability, responsibility, aloofness, a lack of appreciation, lack of sensitivity, their harsh criticism, opinions, stubbornness, and rarely compromising, which is true. I mean, look what they did to Ellen DeGeneres. They thought she was cruel, and her witty and sarcastic comments was her being evil and just mean and just vile, when she wasn't. We're known for our really kind of cold sarcasm. You know, it's probably hard for people to understand it. So they think we're just insulting them, but we just being ourselves. But, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, so let's move right on here. We're going to move to modern parallels, okay? So now we move into the late Pisces era, where the same fixed sign pattern shows up in modern figures who hold influence, not labeling them co-leaders, but noting the astrological similarity, but with the power and cosmic power and influence of both ages. So let's start with this, because there's a parallel here. Okay, now we're going to move to modern terms here. We're going to move to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a Gemini sun, a Sagittarius moon, and a Leo rising. My MAGA people, this is where you should really be paying attention. Gemini meaning, as I said many times, a very creative and could change stories at the drop of a hat, which he's known to do. Then him being a Sagittarius moon means that he's also charismatic, social, engaging, but also tricky and can be trusted. And with him also being a Leo rising, made him glamorous, nurturing, but loves the spotlight, which means a lot of Leos don't love the spotlight, but when the spotlight is on them, they know how to work the spotlight. Okay, they know what to do with it when it's on them. A lot of them don't look for it. Sometimes the spotlight finds them, but when it's on them, they will work it. Okay, so yes, the Trumpster is a Leo rising and is the fixed sign anchor, literally, of a true manipulator. Rising signs show he interfaces with both eras. Because he's a Leo rising within his age, which means he has his charismatic presence, centrality, dramatic leadership style, and follow me energy, like follow me, follow me, follow me, which is what Leos are known to have, a lot of followers. Okay. Now, this is the same fixed sign pattern that dominated the Pisces era, and him being a Leo rising is why he is still having an effect on so many people today. The MAGA people who are obsessed with him. Even though he's cruel, a sexist, a racist, a rapist, a liar, a pathological liar, a murderess, and all the above, but they still follow him regardless of all this evidence because they're brainwashed. Okay? But this is the age of transparency and truth meaning, which means his true authenticity is being shown and broadcasted with the help of this new age. The Trumpsters, being him being a Leo rising, also reveals why he loves the spotlight, as I stated. And let's move on to Jeffrey Epstein. Okay? He is an Aquarius sun, meaning like most Aquarians, he offers different insight, a sense of some freedom, rebellion for the devoted Pisces followers who desperately wanted and needed. Now, this would have been a good thing if his moon wasn't a Sagittarius and Aries. Yes, Epstein, what I read, he was an Aries moon, but then I read in some place he was a Sagittarius moon, so it goes both ways. Yes, Epstein was a Sagittarius moon, although I read in some websites that he was an Aries, but I digress. Meaning he was charismatic and tricky, and mixed that with him being an Aquarius, he may have been hard to resist. He also is in a Scorpio rising, meaning he was able to transform himself into anything. And him being Aquarius and Sagittarius meant that he was able to do all of this sick crap without emotion or attachment and just move on to the next like nothing happened. And then infect them at all, which means he can kill someone in his presence and he won't fucking care. He literally won't fucking care. And he can put on a whole new facade and a whole new identity and move the hell on and have no emotional effect or connection to it at all. So he was a fixed sign sandwich. Aquarius sun, fixed air, Scorpio rising, fixed water. Aquarius plus Scorpio together creates sacredcy, networks, influence, a psychological leverage, which hints all the books he was reading, and long-term planning, which is why a lot of rich people sought him out, and they chose him as an escape for their sick, malevolent, and disgusting ways, because that's what he offered. He offered that in the Pisces age where people are longing for the escapeness, because when rich billionaires become the billionaires and the richer they get, the more godlike complexes they start having, and the more sick nature and evil, conniving, manipulate things they start doing. You know, they do a lot of sick shit. We're already seeing one right now in a black face with one of the most superstars in the world, who still seem to be invincible these days. However, how does this work with brainwashing? I'm going to show you the clip that I've been talking about, and we're going to end it shortly after this. This is a clip from Matlock, okay? It shows that his son was captured and convinced to join his cult, kind of like MAGA and their followers, and brainwashed to do whatever they wanted him to do. You're going to see the inside workings of MK Ultra and brainwashing, kind of like the MAGA followers right now. And then we're going to end the show, so pay attention. All right. Let's end that whole thing there. Okay. I'm surprised you guys are still hanging on here. Thank you for hanging on. I really appreciate it. It's taking me a little longer to get the video. If you still want to hang on, that's great. If not, I'll just post it later. But the video was ready. I played it, but as usual with my live shows, there's always some technical difficulties. And I've been talking about this video for a long time. I really want you guys to see. And it's currently downloading at the moment, and it should be done in a minute. But I am seriously getting very, very tired, and I have to use the bathroom. So I'm just going to close it here, and I just go ahead and post the video later. Just want to say this. Codes didn't rise because these leaders were spiritual. They rose because the Age of Pisces made people spiritually vulnerable, and the fixed signs, archetypes stepped in to fill the void. So they stepped in and gave them what they wanted. They used their futuristic thinking to manipulate many people. Okay? Just want to point that out. Now, before I polish this into a final on-air script, I want to sum it up here. Okay? Please, I will repost the video of the Matlock thing. I really want you guys to see. I may even go live and show you guys again later. Who the hell knows? It depends how I'm feeling. Other than that, thanks to whoever stayed through our duration of this video. You guys have a wonderful night. Bye.
We see you, we see you, we remember. I am the storm, I am the silence, I am the truth unveiled,